This episode of Ty's Eye Help is brought to you by lynda.com. What's up guys? In this video we're going to be doing a comparison of the new iPad mini to the new iPad 4 / old iPad 3. So one of the first things you're going to notice with the iPad mini to the iPad 4 is obviously there is a size difference. The iPad 4 and the iPad 3 are both the same size, coming in at 9.5 inches by 7.13 inches, whereas the iPad mini measures 7.87 inches by 5.3 inches. And the iPad 4 is also thicker than the iPad mini, coming in at 9.4 millimeters compared to 7.2 millimeters on the iPad mini. And of course both devices have two completely different screens. On the iPad mini you're going to get a 7.9 inch display, whereas on the iPad 4 or iPad 3 you're going to get a 9.7 inch display. And remember that is measured diagonally. Of course the iPad 4 and 3 both have the Retina display, coming in at a resolution of 2048 by 1536 at 264 pixels per inch, whereas the iPad mini doesn't have a Retina display, but you're going to get a screen resolution of 1024 by 768 with 163 pixels per inch. I know a lot of people really wanted a Retina display in the iPad mini, but for me I don't really see it as a downfall, just because if you put the iPad mini up against the iPad 3 or the iPad 4 you are going to notice a difference in the screens if you look at them right beside each other, but nobody is really going like this and putting their iPad up to see the pixels on it. It still looks good. This is still a good screen. It's just the same screen as in the iPad 2 except shrunk down. That's the only difference. So in my opinion, if you had the iPad 3 or the iPad 4 and you switch to the iPad mini, you're not going to really notice that much of a difference in the screen, or at least I didn't. Of course you'll also notice that the iPad mini has a completely different design than the iPad 3 or 4. You can get both in white or black, but with the iPad mini it's more like the iPhone 5's color design, where the black iPad mini actually has a black slate painted black, and then the white iPad mini has a white silver metal looking design, and then the back of the device is actually silver, which I think is great because I love how the iPhone 5 was designed and I like that they brought it to the iPad mini. So if you compare the cameras on the new iPad mini to the iPad 4, they are exactly the same on the front and back, but if you compare it to the iPad 3, the iPad 3 front facing camera is VGA quality, whereas the new front facing camera on the iPad mini has 720p HD video and takes 1.2 megapixel picture, so it's obviously a lot better quality, going from standard definition to 720p HD video. Not as good as the back-facing camera, but still looks really good. And of course the iPad mini and the iPad 4 both have the new lightning connector, where the iPad 3 doesn't. All the models have both LTE and Wi-Fi options, which vary in price. Of course the iPad mini LTE model is not out just yet, but it should be out within a few days in mid-November. Now let's talk about processors and speed. The iPad mini has the A5 processor, which is the same processor found in the iPad 2. Still really nice, still really fast, and does the job. The iPad 3 has the A6 chip, which is supposed to be 2 times faster than the A5 chip as far as CPU and graphics, and then the iPad 4 has the new A6X chip, which is supposed to be 2 times faster than the A6 chip as far as CPU and graphics. So basically if you compare the iPad mini with the A5 chip to the new iPad 4 with the A6X chip, it's supposed to be 4 times faster. I don't have the new iPad 4, so I can't do a speed comparison to the iPad mini, but I do have an iPad 3 and I've seen all the speed tests of the iPad 4 online, and I will say that it is a little bit faster. If you put the iPad mini and the iPad 4 right beside each other, you will notice a little bit of a difference when you're opening games, apps, and stuff like that, just the load time of them. Also, obviously, the graphics are going to be a lot better on the iPad 3 or 4 because it's got the Retina display, and you'll notice a little bit better overall performance just because it has a better, more powerful chip. But if you think about it, the iPad mini isn't powering a Retina display, so even though it's a lower powered, slower chip, it's not having to power that Retina display, whereas the iPad 3 or 4 has a more powerful chip, but it has to power the Retina display. So basically, yes, it is a little bit faster. Is it going to change your life drastically that it took half a second less to open an app? No. Now let's talk about pricing, because I think this is going to be the main factor in people's decision of whether they should get the iPad mini or the iPad 4. So the iPad mini starts out at $330 for the 16 gigabyte Wi-Fi model, whereas the iPad 4 for the 16 gigabyte Wi-Fi model starts out at $500. So the difference in price is $170, and if you think about it, you're paying that $170 to get a bigger screen and a device that's more bulkier, heavier, thicker, and it's also going to be just a tiny bit faster. you can still buy the iPad 3 online. I don't think Apple actually sells it, but they do still sell the iPad 2 at $399 if you did want to go with that. But before you pay that much for the iPad 2, I would say definitely go with the iPad mini over the iPad 2. So if I didn't do tech videos and buy pretty much every Apple product that comes out, if I had to choose between the iPad mini and the iPad 4, I would definitely go with the iPad mini. I love the size. It's thinner, lighter, and it basically just made the iPad 4 more portable. Not that it wasn't already, it's just the size made it better. Like how people have said, it bridged the gap in between the iPhone and the iPad, but I think that was perfect. Like, it's the perfect size for me. I love to carry it around. I've been using this thing constantly, and I literally bring it everywhere with me. It's amazing. I didn't do that with my iPad 3 just because it's bigger, more bulkier, and I don't enjoy carrying around this. I don't mind carrying this around because it weighs hardly anything. So it's basically, you get all the perks and stuff of having a tablet like an iPad, except it's just a little bit smaller and more portable to carry around like an iPhone. I love it. Now before we head out here, let's take one last look at our sponsor for this video. You can learn it at lynda.com, an online learning company with over 77,000 video tutorials that teach software, creative, and business skills. Memberships start at $25 per month and provides unlimited 24/7 access to top quality video courses taught by expert instructors with real world experience. Learn anytime, anywhere, at any place. They've got bite-sized to comprehensive courses in web design, programming, photography, business, audio and video, 3D animation, and plenty more. With new courses added every week, the training library keeps pace with today's fast-changing technical and software skills. You can save and prioritize your courses in your queue, so that way you can watch them whenever you want, and you can also track the progress of each. And you can even learn on the go with their optimized mobile site or their iPhone and iPad app. So if you want to check out lynda.com and give it a try, you'll get your first 7 days free if you go to lynda.com/TiesIHelp. Alright, hopefully you guys enjoyed this and it helped you make your decision of whether you should get the iPad 3, 4, or iPad mini. If it did, please be sure to click the like button down below if it helped you out in any way. I really appreciate it and it helps me out a lot. And also make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel for more videos on the iPad mini, iPad 4, all the Apple devices, and all kinds of other tech stuff. Make sure you subscribe so you will be notified on your YouTube homepage when I post new videos, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace. Also, let me know how the mic sounds. I'm using my new Rode Video Mic Pro. Is it good? And I'm also using my new lighting with my same viewing angle that I normally do, except I had to kind of like scoot it up a little bit. So let me know how it looked and sounded in the comments. All right, now peace.